Okay, so the first thing that we're going to talk about is, and I just realized this the other day, that when you calculate a statistics, which probably many of you have done, I believe we did it even just a few minutes ago, it will calculate a variety of statistics for you. Now, that creates a fixed length text file that can be re-imported back into ACL. So what I wanted to do is walk you through how to do that, and that way everyone can get an idea of how that can work. And I find it's a very interesting way to utilize this data. Now, the file that I have, I actually did more of a transactional scoring, and I had all of these columns, like maybe about I think it's about 75 columns of data. And in the 75 columns, I wanted to find out how many zeros did I have, how many total amounts did I have, etc. So it was a bit of a pain, to like write that to a file. There's ways of doing that in ACL, but I just said, it's a bit of a pain. Let me just run the statistics and then bring that into ACL. And actually, once you kind of save the logic of this, you could do it every time. So I did want to show you that as well. And this kind of goes to how to import a report file into ACL. So we're doing a little bit of report file type analysis. And again, that's mainly what we're going to be doing. In our data files here, we basically can run, I had already run this before, and I'm just going to give you the data file to work with. But if you run statistics, and let's, in this Benford Law file that we just had here for a second ago, if you just ran it on these four fields, and in the output went to a file. Now, you can't go to an ACL file, so that's, that would be nice, but you can't do that. So what I could do here is I can put it to a text file and call it, stats from 09 to 7112. And, it created this file. Okay. So now I can import that table into ACL. And just bear with me 1 second here. So just trying to find the folder here for all of us to work with. There we go. And okay, so stats from 92712.txt is the file. Now it is a PC and ASCII type file, so we can import that. And ACL realizes that it's a print image report file, so that's good. And again, that's how that should come in. Now notice we have things like difference percentage, etc. all listed out here, and we can import this file in. Now I'm not going to import this file in because I have a better one for you to utilize today. I'm just going to go to New Table, bear with me. And the one that I'm going to give everyone on the call that had signed in is this one called score stats.txt. Again, print image file, yep. And okay, so now we get to this point. So for those that have not done this before, what I am currently going to do is I work backwards in the file. So let's imagine I just take this total score figure right here, and this is all I care about. In this total score area, notice I have the totals down below, and then I have the zeros and I have the positives. So I realize that I don't really care about the highest and the lowest and the range and some of the stuff. So all I care about is this totals line. So I'm going to highlight the total line, and I'm going to kind of go out for a little bit more than normal, just in case the numbers are a little big. And I'll call this total line. So that's now the field, it's numeric, and it's defined. Now, ACL is asking me, well, what is tagging that line so that you know whenever you see this tag, totals, with a colon after it, that's the detail line. And I basically flag that and say, yes, that's the detail line. And then that becomes the detail record. Now, I'm going to also care about the zeros above. So I'm going to highlight now zeros. I'm going to say, yes, it's a new record. I'm going to call this zeros. And I'm going to now highlight the zeros colon. And this now is a header because, again, it's above the detail. And yep, it is. It's a header. It starts there. Last but not least, I need to know what is that field name that I'm working with. And again, I'm going to make it kind of big, maybe like 20 characters or so, just in case. It is also a new record. It's also a header record, and this is going to be called the field name. And I'm going to highlight field colon. And that is now header 2 that's listed. So now we have, detail working upwards here, header 1, header 2. There's a lot more to importing report files, but I'm just giving you the simples. And I then, as you kind of look through all of this data, it doesn't really seem to break. ACL is quite consistent in how it's exporting the stat command. So all the way through this thing, we're in pretty good shape. Okay, so that's all the way through. I'm then going to hit my next button, and I'm going to create a file called score stats.fil, and I'll save that. And amazingly, it's that quick. It imported that data file. And it then put in, well, actually, maybe it's still working on it here. And then we have that data file to now work with. We have the zeros, we have the total line, the zeros, and then the field name all listed out as something that we can now work with. So it's something where, again, that's something that might be useful for you to utilize and to kind of bring in your data file for. And just something to consider for your type of analysis, and kind of going beyond just running the statistics command to actually bringing in a data file with the statistics command. So again, this is the stats command here. The next thing I wanted to do is talking about a top and bottom analysis and how we can take a look at that. And I'm going to use the same file here for doing that. I have this enterer over here, and I actually want to look at how many enters do I actually have in the data. I have quite a few, not too many. Out of 91,000 rows, I have about a handful, 15 or 20. Okay, so what I can do is I can sort my data first, and what my ultimate goal of this is to figure out what is the top amount entered by the person and what is the bottom amount entered by that person. So let me just bear with me. We can first, I'm going to sort this file, and I'm going to sort it on the enterer and on the amount field in a ascending format. And by doing that, I'm going to create a file called sorted, just to keep it simple. And now I have, enterer 2, the lowest amount that they entered was 18,000 negative, and way down here, we have other people. Probably can't find it that quickly. Bear with me one sec. Okay, yeah. I mean, again, it's just sorted in a low to high fashion. Now, if I summarize, if I go to Analyze Summarize now, and I summarize on that enterer, accumulate, I guess, the amount, but I really just want as an other field that amount. Take away the pre-sort because I've already sorted my file. Again, I'm in a sorted file by enterer and amount, and enterer was first. So now it's sorted in a proper format. I get rid of the pre-sort, and I could say this is the lowest amount. So now I have the lowest amount entered by each person in the data. And I can, just kind of edit table layout, and, a couple of ways we could do this. I could just change this amount field to lowest amount like that. That's probably the easiest way to do it. And it takes it out of my view, but it doesn't, doesn't take away the actual field. So we're going to follow that same process, and I'm actually just, interest of time, I'm going to kind of do this in my script log here. I'm going to open up the ACL test Benford. Notice in my command line, hit the green button. I'm going to sort on the enter and amount, and this time I'm going to put a big D after amount. Just to check that, if you want to edit the command, you can notice if I go on the sort on field, notice how now the amount field is in a descending fashion. And the other way to change that is you could just select that, right? Just like that. So I did want to show you that. That's okay, yes, and yes. So now I have the largest amount by person. And once again, I could summarize on enter, other amount, and I'm going to do this to highest amount. So now I have the highest amount per person. So now that I have the highest amount and the lowest amount, I can join these two tables together. Actually, let me just, I don't know if I changed that. Let me just change this amount field here. And I'm going to change this to highest. Okay. So now that I can join these two together, I can actually join tables with the lowest amount table on enter, bring over enter highest amount, enter lowest amount, and the count should be the same, but let me bring in that count field as well because I think that's interesting. You might want to do primary and secondary. They really should be the same. The enter of one should be the enter of the other. It really should not be an issue, but just for safety's sake, I guess. And we could then say this would be high to low enter. And now we have by enter the highest amount, the lowest amount, the count. I guess I brought that enter field over again. So we have the count of all transactions for that person. So you can get a relative sense of how often are people entering data in. And it may be interesting, like this person here, where they have a $14,000 entry, but they only enter in 22 invoices over all this time. So it's kind of a more interesting way of handling things.